I don't know that my curse has ever been more powerful than it was at the start of December this year. I talk about the leaks for Onslaught, and the renders get revealed 2 hours after my video goes live. I talk about the renders and how off they look, and we have images of the prototype Bruticus by the end of the day. There were people who were like, you know, I never believed that you were cursed until last video. And I was like, until last video, I was one of you. But man, it really does seem like the universe conspires to make whatever I say outdated within a single 24-hour period. So let's tempt fate again, shall we? But first, your likes! Please give, and maybe subscribe. And let's start with something that I wanted to talk about last week, but then I had the evil idea to save it for a full video because I get paid way better for these than I do shorts. Devastation Bumblebee. Seriously, I get like $2 for a short that gets like 40,000 views, but I get like $20 for a video that gets 8,000? I really wish I had more videos that broke 8,000. Likes and subscribes are a huge deal, guys. Also, Patreon and channel memberships. Please, toys are expensive to review. Anyways, am I crazy or does this thing look like it was whittled out of cheese? There's just something so lactose looking about these plastics. I want to like it more than I currently do. I'm not saying that this doesn't look interesting, but I feel like there's just something off about it. Maybe it's those cheddar-ass plastics. Maybe it's that he looks a bit less fit than he did in the game. Maybe it's the alt mode is just too cab tall and engine small. This sure is not catching the hatchback vibes of the game model. It's like it's too classically Bumblebee while also not enough, which is crazy because the game model manages to capture the spirit of Bumblebee so well that it actually took me an embarrassingly long amount of time to realize that he wasn't turning into a Volkswagen Beetle. But this looks more and less like a little slug bug than ever before. But that's not to say that this is bad. There is something strange about it, but I think that this does look like an enjoyable toy. Based on that chest hinge though, I'd be willing to put money on this transforming basically the exact same way as the 86 Bumblebee. And also, what is with the gappiness on his guns? This thing is already going to be tiny for sure, so you couldn't fit that in, especially for the back gun, which always has the holes facing front? Then we've got the Studio Series minor Orion Pax, who has an alt mode which he shouldn't, but that's okay. Though I do have to wonder what makes either version of this dude the version that it's supposed to be. If I have a problem with that movie, it's just that some of the upgraded forms are so barely different that I can't really tell that they happened at all without looking at them side by side. I guess what makes this one the minor version is the fact that he's got a mining drill? Does this count as a drill? It's more of a saw, or like maybe a steam shovel? In any event, trying to hand dig anything with this would suck. Anyways, look, by virtue of existing at all, this has to be better than the original Studio Series figure this guy got. That thing was a clunky mess that looked like someone spilled Coca-Cola on it and then never bothered cleaning it off. The transformation wasn't fun, it held together like crap, the mono skirt they had was one of the weirdest bad ideas I've ever seen Hasbro fart out. How do you make one of the most insufferable design decisions worse? I don't know, but Hasbro sure found a way, as they are often pioneers of garb. Anyways, I don't want to just compare this to the previous figure. I do think that this looks like it's good in its own right. I have none of the reservations at the outset with this, as I did with the other one. Though to be fair, that was largely just because it looked sticky to the touch. Then there were the prototype images for Bruticus. And before these were ever shown off, there were people who were saying on my video about the renders that this might be an 86 Ultra Magnus situation, where the renders look weirdly wide for some reason, but in person it actually comes across better. And based on these new pictures, it seems like those of you who guessed that have been vindicated. At least at this stage. From these angles, the legs look more proportional. However, that does not seem to have placated a lot of people. I'm not sure why this is the one that seems to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Like, I've been angry at skeleton combiners from the moment they were ever applied to anything that wasn't Menasor. But personally, I do think that of the skeleton combiners we have seen from Hasbro, this looks to be by far the best one. I of course wish it wasn't a skeleton combiner, but I am confused by how this has gone too far when the others, to my perception, have been worse. Is it just the brutal recent price hikes? Like, what about this one is different enough in a bad way to make people finally agree with me? No one ever agrees with me. I'm always here outside of Hasbro's offices, shaking my fists and shouting obscenities at the wall of an uncaring building, and everyone has always just called me a crazy asshole, which, hurtful, but possibly fair. And now there are people lining up next to me doing the same thing? I'm not used to the feeling of having backup on something. It's nice. I like it. But I am confused and frightened. Especially considering I'm not the one yelling the loudest this time. I'm just the first. Good news though, the back view of this thing looks really clean and it has the CW leg connectors like I thought it might not. So you can swap the shins if you don't want to buy the other two members of the team. Speaking of the other Combaticons, we have pictures of Swindle now, who looks to be the most compromised of them, which is crazy because his leg mode is basically just supposed to be a Jeep stuck to the underside of a knee. But there is a lot of structural stuff going on in that hood area. And what the hell is with the trailer? I get that this turns into a gun for Bruticus, but it looks like no gun he's ever been associated with before. I also do sincerely have to ask, why is this a Voyager Voyager. Get rid of the fucking trailer if it will reduce the size class. This is blatantly a deluxe, even more so than Brawl. And I think even more importantly, I have to ask,
what's wrong with your face?
Dude looks like he glued 2 burnt hot dogs to the underside of his nose. And why is his jaw the same color as his helmet? It's supposed to be like a purpley charcoal. It's a deluxe scale Voyager, guys. Paint the fucking face. Voyagers are almost the price of liters these days. You have no fucking excuse. And I don't want to hear about tariffs. And you know why? Because toys from Vietnam are specifically exempt from them. No, really, they don't apply very specifically to Hasbro's products. There is no need for the Transformers price hikes. It's just Hasbro trying to get more money out of you without earning it. Paint the fucking face, you assholes. However, good news on the face front, we have gotten better pictures, and it is far less awful looking than I thought it was going to be. Still, paint the fucking face, you assholes. It cannot be said often enough. This would look great as a deluxe. As a $45 fucking Voyager, this looks terrible. Because in honesty, it is relative to the price. As a deluxe, this having limited posing, some awkward panel lines, a less than perfect sculpt, and every other flaw would all at least be tolerable. As the now brutally overpriced Voyager class, there is no excuse for anything less than absolute perfection anymore. For less than double what people are paying here, you could start buying third-party figures and get a product a dozen times more advanced than this. Whether or not you want to go Legend Scale or MP, it will be superior to this to such an extent we almost have to question why Chug still exists if it's not going to be priced for the masses anymore. I love Chug, and I am so sick already of complaining about these price increases, but it wasn't even 10 years ago that figures were $16, and this is $45. The US dollar has not depreciated to a third of what it was 9 years ago. I want to get off this soapbox already, but this is what I've been warning about for years. The unchecked greed of Hasbro pricing everyone out of the fandom. I've gotten messages from so many of my fans at this point saying, I'm sorry, I love your videos, but I can't be part of this community anymore because I can't afford the figures anymore. It is horseshit what you are doing to us, Hasbro. Fuck off! I want to like this because it looks like it's worthy of being liked, but not for that price. Man, even I am depressed by the negativity I am currently coming at this with. Again, this looks like a really good deluxe, but the prices are fully beyond the realm of reason at this point. I'd say even more so than the Robosen figures like Soundwave here. Yes, this is over $1,000, but I at least know where the money is going, and at least part of that is going to Frank Welker, so that's awesome. Honestly, even more than the Grimlock, I see the appeal of this one. Unlike the Optimus, who was always super clearly compromised, this actually manages to look like the MP, so that already rules. But more importantly, and this might just be a rumor, but I've heard people saying that this will be able to play music. And not only does that also rule at base level, but think about how much more it would rule if this has like a follow the guy he's mistaking for Megatron mode. And you could have like a foot-tall Soundwave walking behind you wherever you go, blasting your favorite tunes. Legitimately, life would be complete. You could die now. It'll have peaked. There will be nothing else to see in this world. Before now, the best you could do on that front was paint a baby blue and strap a boombox to him. But clearly that would be inferior, because that baby wouldn't be able to transform. At least, not without some horrific violence. I have not been here for the Robosen stuff, but Soundwave always makes everything make sense. So please, just inject this into my veins and give me a tiny blue hype man. Lastly, I also could have talked about this last week, but saved it for now. We finally have pictures of Armada Sideways. And it seems that, yes, I was completely wrong about this being a retool of the Legacy Prowl mold. I wouldn't be surprised if that had been the intent at some point, but clearly, if it ever was, that changed somewhere along the line. That, however, did not stop someone from telling me that I was right about it on Twitter, but sorry, unless you know something that I don't, then actually no, I was wrong on my assessment of what this would be. Anyways, this looks pretty great, though I am confused by the pictures we have here. Like, why is this one clearly made out of the black guy's upper half and the gray one's pants? Also, what is that head? Where did this come from and why? I've not sat through the whole show in a long time, but a few years ago, I did watch it up to like episode 36, and I don't remember this at all. Also, why is the, finger quotes, good guy head so ugly? Like, they made his cool faceplate into a cylindrical drum that his torso rotates around because reasons? I'm assuming this is how you turn this dude into the trousers mode, but does anyone even really want that? It just feels like a needless compromise to do a thing that I don't know if anyone is actually clamoring for. Like, I'm pretty sure that what everyone wants is the head swap thing, not any kind of combination gimmick. Though, to be fair, I will be honest, I never quite understood why he did the head swap thing in the first place, because neither one of them really looks any more or less good or evil. They both come across pretty sinister, and it's not like they changed his personality. He was always evil no matter what head he wore. Yes, he pretended to not be when the gray one was on, but like, he could have just stopped with the charade and not swapped heads and it would make exactly as much sense. In fact, it would actually make more sense. It's not a problem with this toy, it's just me musing on the dude in general. The figure itself looks great, pretty much exactly what it should be, though I will say it's a little stocky looking, and the horns are totally supposed to be made out of the legs on both heads no matter what. Alt mode is basically perfect. He even has the robot head that he never ever used in the show. Like, why did he even have this yet third face? I always just assumed that he was the body and he didn't have his own head because he didn't need one. Having a third one for when he is not using either of the other two that he already has just seems so violently superfluous. Fun, but I don't understand. Oh, I just noticed that he can swap his faction badge by flipping his chest around. That's awesome. I don't think that any of these figures look bad. In fact, I think that they all look great, but the cost is too high at this point. The fandom is being crushed under the weight of these price increases, and we are hemorrhaging people. Something has to give at some point. Hasbro can't keep upping the price on us every year another few dollars and keep getting rewarded for it. I want the best for this fandom. I want the best for you guys. I don't want you guys getting ripped off. And it feels like a lot of people are finally seeing what I've been seeing. And now that we are to the point where people are on board that this is bullshit, I realize I didn't exactly have a plan for what the next step is. I guess the options were always get priced out now or get priced out later. So let's hope that we can hold the line and that Hasbro quickly comes to their senses, because if not, this is going to become a ghost town of a fandom. And I guess if you feel like mainline stuff is too expensive, take a look at 3P stuff. See if spending a bit more would make you more happy than spending half as much for 9/10 less. And before we go, let's thank a channel backer. And this time it's Coupe de Boss with Fans Toys Gary. And I'll be honest, in robot mode, for sure, this looks better than the MMC one. I think that the alt mode and combined mode look absolutely rancid, but if I was buying a scrapper exclusively for how it looked in robot mode, this is the one I would want. Possibly thanks to the fact that there's not much of a face to mess up here, so for once the head sculpt isn't uncanny. The paint is gorgeous, it's coming with a trumpet, it seems to pose as well as you can rationally be expected. I do like what I'm looking at here, at least in this one mode. Personally, I'm more after the full package, robot mode, posability, transformation, alt mode, and combined mode, but I do think that this is a solid pick, even if I'm always hostile to Fans Toys in general. And that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.